I'm going to show you exactly what I did to design this. So just briefly before we go into that, let's just scroll through the website real quick. So you can see we have a hero section that has a looped video background. Of course, we have the menu button, title text, and a call to action button. Then we have some image and text. As we scroll down, we can see that this background here kind of stays in place. It's a semi-parallax type of thing, right? You can see that we have a gallery here. We have some text that comes on the page, right? Just briefly, I want to show you how this looks, and then we can dive into exactly how I got it done. And then of course we have the other pages here. Oops, that is not a page, that is a section. So we can see that we have a anchor link, right? So I'm gonna show you how to do that, where you click on a link and it actually scrolls to the section of the website that points to. On the other page, we have pricing plans here. We have a nice balloon background that stays in place 100%. Some title and text. We have a accordion style of drop down items here, so I'll show you how we do that. Let's see, we have a contact page. All right, very simple. We have a form. So we have also these hours, and as we can see, the hours, the day that we're on. So currently I'm recording this on Monday, and so whatever day that it is, it's going to be bolded whenever you come to this website. So if you come to this website on a Tuesday, Tuesday will be bold instead of Monday. And so I will show you how I did that, and I actually got help from GPT. So just a quick hint right there. We have a map here. So yeah, let's dive into it. All right, so the first thing is the platform. There's multiple platforms you can use to build your website, and so for this one I actually used my own platform. So quick plug, I have a platform. If you want to use that, definitely cop that. It is in the link in the description. Okay, so here is the site inside of the builder platform. All right, so let's just go step by step so I can show you exactly how this went. Now, this here is a header element. So this is kind of separate from everything else. So when you bring up a site in this platform, is going to come sort of preloaded with some things in here. It's going to have a header menu, it's going to have some content, and then it's going to have a footer at the bottom. So these elements are kind of categorized with this header thing. So you can see right here it says header, right? When you scroll over it, it says header. If I go down to the footer, same thing, it says footer right here. So what that means is that everything below here is going to show up on every page, right? And everything above here in the header is going to show up on every single page. So you don't have to redesign it on every page. It's going to stay the same. Okay. Now, I put the logo in here. So this is a image element. It's kind of automatically going to come like that. When you click that, you can decide if you want a text logo or image logo. It's automatically going to be defaulted to a text logo when you first boot up your website, right? When you start building your website. So when you change it to image logo, you're going to come in here, you're going to choose an image. Okay. And so I of course chose the her logo. All right, so I chose, this is a white one. Okay, so I have the white logo here. We have our menu item. So this already comes with a menu item element. Okay, so all of these items here on the left where you see add widget, these are elements. Okay, and here is the menu. All right, so that's what this is. When you start a website on this platform, you don't have to worry about adding a menu. A menu's already there, so you just have to customize what's already there. So the first thing you want to do is kind of you can style the menu. So how do you want it to look, right? What the text color is going to be, right? You can see that the text color I chose here is what it's showing up as. You're going to choose the font, the size, the text size, right? And as you change it, it's going to change right on the screen. So right now it's 18. If I move this up, you can see it changes right there in the screen, right? So let's put it back to 18. your hover active item color. So this is whatever happens when you hover over the menu item. All right, so when we change this, okay, right now it says is a border that shows. So if we go to the actual website, here's how that actually looks. So this is a border that shows up underneath the element when you hover over it. If you're on that same page, it's going to just stay there. Okay, so that's how that looks. If you change it and say, hey, I just wanted to change the background color, okay, well, it's not going to show that border anymore. The entire color of that word, that menu item, is going to change color, right? So if I change it, and let's say I change it to something like, you know, white or something like that, right? And I'm not going to save any of this because I'm not changing it, but let's say I change the this is actually the background color, right? So if I change it to white, this is the text color, right? And this is the actual item background color. So you can just kind of play around with these and see how they look, right? So if I hit OK, right, now we can see the entire word changes color, and there's no border that shows up. There's no line that shows up underneath because I changed the styling of it, right? So you can just kind of play around with this to see what you want it to do. You can also, as you can see, you can change the item background color as well. So let's say we did that, right, and saved it. So now this happens, right? So it's just up to you how you want it to look. I kind of just kept it minimal with just, you know, a show border thing. I left the text color like that, and the item border color, I think I just pretty much left the same. So it looks like that, right? Now I also have a button element up here. Now every site that you spin up is not going to come with a button element, so this might be something you have to add. If you want to add anything to this top menu, all you have to do is hit one of these plus signs. Now what I suggest is to hit the plus sign in the location that you want to add the item. So if I know I want to add the button all the way to the right, I'm going to hit the plus sign that's the closest to the right side. I'm not going to hit this plus button. I'm going to hit this plus button. All right, and so you have the option of adding a button. You can add a shopping cart, code, login profile thing. You have a bunch of options here for this. Of course, I chose button, and you can easily just move items back and forth like this. Okay, all right, and it'll scrunch up stuff. So yeah. So now that the menu is built and constructed, let's talk about how I got the menu to show up like it does, right? So for example, here's how this menu shows up. You can see this menu is over top of the entire hero section. It's not like most websites where you'll see a menu right at the top and it might be white and then you see the rest of the website. This menu is actually over top of the element. So I'll show you how to do that. So this is the header settings right over here to the left, and so when you click that, it's going to ask you what header layout you want to choose. Right now you can see the one I have chosen is on top, normal size, and placed header on top of the content. Right now, normal size is going to be the width of the content within the header. Okay, so normal size is going to give you some slight spacing on both the left and the right side of the header. So you see there's spacing over on the left, there's spacing over here on the right. If I chose full width, look how it changes, right? There's not as much spacing on the left and the right side. All right, it stretches out more. Okay, if I chose compact, it brings it in more, right? If I chose vertical at left, look what happens. Right, it's to the left, and if I chose to the right, well, it shows up on the right. Okay, so for this one I chose on top, normal size, and I selected place header on top of the content. If I unselect this, look what happens. Right, so the menu is actually now on top of the content, on top. It's first before the rest of the content. It's not sitting on top of it. It's not layered on top. It's actually like above it. So this is how I think a lot of people are used to seeing a lot of websites, but sometimes you'll see a website like this where you have the menu over top of the content. And so we can see that when I check that box again, place header on top of the content, boom, that's how you get that situation. Now, if you want to get this done like this, you have to keep in mind that some of the space from this element down here, so these are two separate elements. You have the header, and then you can see this orange divider line, right, going straight across, right? That means that there's a separation of elements. This is a new element you're going into. So as soon as I move my mouse down here, you can see a new block shows up, right? Now, since I have this header placed over top of the content, I have to make sure that this has enough space so that it doesn't cover up like any words or it's not too tight looking, all right? So what I did was, this item here is what's called a spacer, right? It's a spacer. So if I come over here to the add widgets, and here's the spacer, that is what this is. You can't see it, it's clear. The only purpose this has is to add spacing to whatever element you're adding it to, right? And I can change the spacing like this, right? More, less, right? That's what that's there for. There's also padding. So if I move my mouse up and down like this, it's going to change the padding, which is another way of saying spacing between these elements, okay? So I just did it with the combination of spacer and padding. The reason why I use a spacer and padding is probably something to do with how it shows up on mobile, but you will come to learn which tools you'll need to use in order to acquire the desired result based on what you see when you render the website. So whatever reason I chose to use a spacer and a padding, it was for good reason. All right, it was for good reason. So let's drop on down here to the text. This is just normal text, right? So you either add a heading text, all right? I added heading text element, and then I add a regular text element. Now these are styled in a certain way, and I want to bring your attention over to this paintbrush icon. This is called global styling. So when I come in here, I already have my styling set up. So I'm gonna click on first text styling, and you can see this fugaz, I think it's fugaz one, however you pronounce it, all right? That is this title text down here where it says Maryland's #1 photo booth rentals. That's what that is. The lemon text, I don't think I used much of any of that on the website, actually. This font here is Kushan, right? I don't actually have that in the text styling because I think this is one of the few places where I actually use this. So this area is pretty useful because if I want to style text the same way, instead of having to choose it and model it every single time, so instead of having to do all of these settings all of the time, all I have to do is just come over here and just choose what my styler is going to be, right, based on the settings I chose over here. So you can see it says header 1, header 2, header 3, 4, 5, 6, right? If I come over here to styling, text styling, you can see it says heading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? What that means is that whatever you put over here is automatically going to take that same form when you choose it over here, okay? So when you want to have that same style for multiple different texts on the website, on different pages or whatever, all you'll need to do is style it once over here, right? Choose the font that you want and the size of that font, the spacing, the height, and the color. Choose it once, and then all you have to do is choose if it's heading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or if it's the normal text or whatever, okay? All right, so here is a button element. I just went over to add widget. You add a button element right here, okay? And you just style this, right? Choose your button colors, your text styles, your shadows, and then your hover effect, right? What happens when the mouse hovers over this button, right? That's what that means. So for me, I have fade in. What color do you want it to fade in? Well, the hover color is going to refer to the actual button color. And then the hover text color is, of course, the text color. So this text, when I hover over it, the text is going to turn gold, and then the button is going to turn black. So as you can see, that's what happens. Okay, now you can see there's a border that also shows up around here. That is because the border color I've selected this color here. Now if I had this color, let's say transparent, right? So if I want something transparent, if I don't want it to show up, it's gonna have that checkerboard thing that kind of lets you know there is no color there. It's transparent, right? So if I have that there, then that border won't show up when I hover over it. But since I do have a color there, that's what shows up. Okay. Now, when I add new blocks and sections, sometimes I will design it from scratch, but most times I will choose something that's fairly close to what I want to have. All right, so I'll just come in here and choose add block. Okay, and most of my stuff, I'm just gonna choose image and text, right? Because that's pretty much what what it's made of. I want image and text. So I kind of just scroll down, see what I want, and so we can see that this text here kind of pretty much encompasses everything that's pretty much in that section that I just chose. So there's an image that takes up the entire vertical size of the entire block, and then there's some text to the right. Well, this took up the entire vertical size of the block, and there's some text to the right. Of course, you just style the text, you take away whatever you don't want, right? You just simply delete it, put it in the trash can, and keep whatever you want, and choose your text styling, and there you go. You're off to the races. Now, this next section, I have this kind of semi-move. You can't tell it's moving here, but on the actual website, you can see that background, that black confetti, I mean the gold confetti with the black background, it kind of stays in place a bit. All right, it moves a bit, but it stays in place a bit, right? So how do we do that? So when I come into the block element, right, I select that. All right, I already had this background sort of made. I'll give a tutorial on how to choose backgrounds. I kind of use Canva for a lot of my image content. So backgrounds, stock photos, the stock photo right here came from Canva as well. So yeah, if I have that video up, I'll link to it either in the description or in the video here. All right, so I have this image here, right? Now, how did I get it to kind of stay in place? Well, that's where this parallax speed option comes into play. This is what that is, okay? So when I choose parallax speed, you have three options on this platform. There's normal, there's slow, and there's fixed. Now, fixed is going to leave it exactly where it is. It's not going to move at all, okay? Slow, that's going to have it move like I think a tiny bit, and then normal is going to just have a normal movement, and it's going to stay in place a little bit, but it's also going to move a little bit. So that's what I have this setting on. Play around with it, right? See what you like. Try it on slow and see how you like that. Now, you're not going to be able to see exactly how it looks just on the builder. You're going to have to actually at least preview the site to see how the parallax actually performs live on the site. Okay, so just a heads up. We already went over how to add text. We already went over how to add buttons. So let's move on to the next section. So this next section is pretty much just a collage of photos. Okay, so how did we do that? What I think I did was I added a image gallery. Okay, so if we come over here to the widgets icon and we scroll down to media, okay, we're gonna see gallery here. This is what I chose, right? So I dropped the gallery right into this block, okay, and then you just choose your settings for your gallery. So first, you're gonna choose your images, right? So you add your images. You can add your images in here, right? Choose what images you want to show up in the gallery. But let's talk about how we got it to take up the entire section here, okay? So we're gonna go to edit settings on this gallery layout. So I chose for this grid. I chose a grid layout. You can have a carousel layout where it'll just kind of be one horizontal row, and it'll just go back and forth. You can scroll left or you can scroll right, okay? But for this one, I chose grid. Images per row, 4. And you can see there's 4 images, right? 4 images per row. Image paddings, I chose 0. So that means that all these images are touching. If I mess with this, you can see it puts spacing in between the images, okay? How much spacing do you want? All right, that looks crazy. So this is why I chose it to be no padding. The image ratio, right? What size are the images going to be? You can choose a perfect square, you can choose 3:4, like however, whatever size these images are going to be, that's what you choose. I have this on 4:3. Selection. So images should fill their container. I check that box because if these images aren't sized correctly, they can tend to look funny. So I just selected images should fill their container. It's going to stretch the image out so that it fills the entire size. So if you have images that are not the same size, which I don't think was the case here, I think all of my images were the exact same size. But if you have images that are not the same size, and you don't have this box selected, it's not going to be uniform. So select that box, and like I said, you can just click around and play with this and see how it looks, because you can see the changes in real time, right? So that's cool. So you'll know how things are going to look before it actually gets published to the site. Open images in Lightbox, I do not have that selected because I just want this to be just a visual thing. I don't want it to do anything. If I check this box, that means when somebody went to the website and clicked on one of these images, the image would open up large and they can look at one image at a time. That's not really the purpose of this. If this was a situation where you had a pictures, you had some photos of some real people that you wanted to show and display because you took those photos, maybe that's something you would do. But for this, these are just stock photos. It's just for the aesthetics of the website, and so I don't have that option turned on. All right. Next section. So again, we have pretty much the same thing we have up here, right? It's just text on one side and the image on another side, but this time is just flip-flopped, right? So this time I have the image on the right, I have the text on the left. And so let's come in here and just kind of see what I may have chosen or used in order to make this section. So it's most likely image and text, right? And so if I have image, so here's a full size image, right? It takes up the full vertical size of this entire block, and the text is on the right. But this is opposite. We have our image on the right and text on the left, like here, right? So this is probably what I used as a basis to make this section. Image on the right, text on the left, all right? So of course, you just change your background. So this is a 2-column block, right? You can see as we hover over, we see a column here, we see a column here. Well, actually it's 3 columns. Well, actually it's 4 columns. So these columns are just made to be spacers. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So we can see when we click somewhere on there, it says 4 columns. You can change it to be max of 5 columns on this platform. So I have 4 columns here, okay, which is probably how the element came when I added it on here. So I just kind of left it and just customized what I needed to customize. So now on the website, what happens here? All right, we have our text that kind of moves onto the screen, right? And then we have our button here, and we have our confetti background. So let's check that out. How did I do that? So let's see. I think this would be, we would click on the column settings, right? Because it's only in the left side column. All right, nope, that's not how I did it. Let's see, block. All right, so I added the confetti on the entire block. So even though it only shows in the left column, it's the background of the entire block. You don't see it over here because of course this picture is over it. All right, but this is the background I chose for the entire block. Okay. Now you can see the parallax speed is slow. Now when we come over to the website, let me just reload it, right? We can see our text comes over to the screen, but our parallax speed is slow. So let's see if this moves at all. So we can see that if you concentrate and look kind of hard, the confetti moves a tiny bit and it stays in place a tiny bit. So it's kind of a mixture, right? It's barely moving. It's barely moving. And so that's how I have that setting. That's parallax speed slow. That's in the middle. Okay. Now we can see that this background is way like brighter than what we can actually see. Okay. It's like this because what I did was I added an overlay. I didn't want the confetti to mess up the readability of the text that's there, right? You want to make sure that people can read your text without the pictures in the background getting in the way. So what I did was I added an overlay, okay? And I added this white overlay with a little bit of opacity, okay? So that I wanted the confetti to show a bit so that you know it's there, but I wanted to make sure that you could still read the text and that the confetti wouldn't be a distraction, right? So that's how I balanced that out. Then on the right side, okay, this picture is the background of the entire column. So there's a couple of ways to add pictures in here. You can add a picture element, so you can add an image and just drag it over here. But for this case, since this image is taking up the entire vertical size of the whole block, you kind of want to add it as a background. So we can see this button shows up when there's nothing in there. It says change background. So you can easily just go into column settings, choose whatever photo you want to have as the background, and you can add that in there. Okay. Settings, background image position. Sometimes this can affect how it's actually going to look and be positioned in there. So I have my setting on center. If I change this, let's see if it changes anything. Yeah. So let's move this over so we can see the image. It moves. So I have this setting on left top. Let's do left center. That didn't change anything. Left bottom. That didn't change. Right top. So see, it changed. It changes the position because there's more image here that you can actually see, right? It's just getting cut off because of the sizing of the container that it's in, right? So center top, that didn't change. Center bottom, center, right? So center is what I have it on. Cover whole area. You definitely want to pay attention here because this is going to affect how it looks. I almost always select cover whole area. There's not really a situation where I need to choose anything else, unless I have a background pattern and I want it to repeat, right? But this is not a pattern, it's an image. So cover whole area is going to be your best option for something like this. If you did something like repeat, it doesn't make much of a difference here because the image is so large, but if you had smaller images, you would definitely see a difference in these in how it looks on the website. Contain within container bounds. We can see here that this is not giving us the result we actually want. We have some spacing on the top and the bottom. That ain't what we want. We want cover whole area, so it takes up the entire vertical size of the block. Okay. And there's some other options here that I didn't really use. Container element. There's nothing in this container. This container is completely empty. It's just the background image. So there's nothing here. So selecting these is not going to change anything. It's nothing to change. It's empty. Okay. That is how I did that section. All right. Now this time I have the image here, but I have it's not taking up the entire vertical size of the block. There's some spacing on the bottom, the top, and the left side, right? So this one is actually an image element. It's not the background of the column. So the column has no background. What I did was came over to the add widget icon and I dragged the image over into here and I just selected the image. Okay, so we can see if you look at the top right hand corner, it says image right here. That lets you know this is an image element. So if we click the settings in here, okay, of course you select whatever image you want to use. Stretch if needed. This is a good option to have because if I don't select this, all right, it's going to show up like that, right? The actual image size. We want this to take up the entire container size. Okay, so stretch if needed. That is a good option to have. It gets us the desired effect. Image description, you want to put those in there when and if you're able to. And so yeah, that's how I got that image there. We already went over how to do text and headings. These are some hidden blocks. They're not going to show on the live website, but I don't even know what these are. So these are probably just sections that I was considering using and that I just decided not to use, but I didn't want to completely get rid of them just in case. So let's see what this is. All right, so looks like this was an idea I was working on, and I was like, yeah, I might use this as a basis for, you know, the pricing page. So I didn't get rid of it. I just hit it. So you can hide blocks here on this platform just by hitting this eye icon, and it's not going to show up on the live site, but it's not going to disappear for you on the back end either, right? See what this is. So yeah, this is probably, I was probably saving this for the add-on section for the other site, so I left it here. So let's hide that back and let's see what this is. So yeah, same thing there. Okay, next section we have the photo booth. We got the, now see with this section here, okay, so we have the balloon background, but it's slightly faded out, and then we have our images and text, and you can see that those kind of fade and animate onto the screen as we scroll. So here's how we do that. All right, so first off, let's cover the background. So the background, I made this in Canva. I selected my background, and then I have parallax speed fixed, so it doesn't move at all. The background stays in place while the rest of the content in that section scrolls. So that's how I got that effect, okay? Also added an overlay of white, all right, and changed the opacity a bit so that you can still see the balloons clearly in the background, but it doesn't affect the readability of the text that's in that section. All right, very important. Okay, so this selection is how I got the menu to scroll down here. So we'll get to that specifically in a bit, but this is called features. When I add, it says add anchor point. Okay, I checked this box and I added the name features. So you can see right at the bottom it says site.com site.com/page #features, right? That means that when a person is at the menu and they click features, this is the section that it's going to go to. Okay, that is how I got the menu to scroll down like that. However, also have to add in that I modified the scroll behavior a bit, so I will show you the default. So if you use this platform and you do an anchor link like I just did, and you click here and it doesn't scroll, let's say sometimes it'll just bam and just show up at the section. It won't do a smooth scroll. That is because there's a coding element that you have to add on the back end to get it to do that smooth scroll type of thing instead of just appearing suddenly. All right, so I'll show you that as well. All right, so we got the background here. We got our heading text, our title text here. Now these images. So for this this is a, let's see, 3 across, 3 down. So we have 9, like a 9 section sort of grid here. Okay, and so I may have created this manually, but there's also probably sections that you can find that kind of already have a 3-column section that you can sort of build off of, so you don't have to do it from scratch necessarily. But if you want to do it from scratch, it's really easy. It's really easy. So if I have a block, let's say nothing was here, okay, I have my columns here. I have 3 columns I can see, so I would just click this and change how many columns I have. Right, how many columns do you want? You just change that number and there you go. Okay, you can change the sizing of each column with this handle here. So if I want to make this smaller, larger, you just drag it left and right, left and right. Okay, put that back. And so for each of these image elements, I have this animated. Okay, so we had some animated text above. Let's go over exactly how we add these animations that play when the user scrolls to that section of the website. So for this platform, what I do is just click the element, and you see this sort of clock with the play in it. This is the icon we want to click. Okay, for animations. Okay, so these animations are always on this section here. Animation settings, select animation type. The type of animations I mostly use are fade-ins. Right, for this platform is either going to be a straight fade-in, or it's going to be fade-in from left, fade-in from right, top or bottom. All right, so this one in particular is a fade in from left. That's why you saw it coming from the left. All right, how about this element? this is fading from left as well. How about this element? Fading from left. So most of the times if it's on the left side of the website, I'll have it fading from the left. This is in the middle, I probably just have it, yes, fade in from the bottom. So all of these will fade in from the bottom. And of course, these will fade in from the right. So if we look at the website again, let's just scroll back up here and reload it. When we go down to that section, we'll see, right? We can see they faded in from the left. This faded in from the left. This is from the bottom. This is from the right. So I did the same for all of these rows. All right, so that's how we get the animation to show as a user scrolls down the website. Now these images here, these are GIFs, okay? These were pre-created. I just grabbed this from the old website, but this platform allows you to choose, you know, JPEGs, PNGs, or GIF images as your image. And so for these, you just choose GIF image and you get this cool animation effect. So that's pretty fun. Okay, now here we are at the footer. So everything below here is going to show up on every single page of the website, like everything, and you only have to design it one time, right? One time, and every page you create from there is automatically going to include your footer and your header. All right, so that's cool. That's a cool feature to have. Any web builder, any website builder that's worth anything is going to have that feature. Okay, so I just have ready to book here. I have a button here where you went over how to do buttons. So now we have a form here. Okay, so we have form elements built right into the platform. All you have to do is come over here to the add widget button, form, right? Lead generation section, form. So we just grabbed it, dropped it right in here, and that's what we got. Now you have to style it. So let's come on in here. Let's click the edit styling. This is a paintbrush icon. Style it. Now we have a few different sections here, labels and fields. How do you want that stuff to look? Right? So labels, these are the text that appears over the field, right? So name, email, message, that is the label. Okay. Field background color, that's whatever you want this field color to be. That's what field's background color is. Okay, most of the time it's going to be white, but sometimes it can be like a very light white, light gray, off-white, right? Something like that. But for mine, I like to just keep them white. Field text color. So that's whatever color the text that the user types into the field, that's what color that's going to be. Okay. And field's border color, that is the border on the edges of the field. Okay. Now, I have this as a very, very light gray. You can barely even see it. Okay. So whether it's there or not probably doesn't even make a difference. The font size, that is going to be the font size of the labels. Okay, so as you can see, when you drag it, it changes right on the website, right? So I left that the same as everything else, about 18 pixels. The border radius is going to be the rounding of the edges of the fields, right? So for all my forms here, I have this on 4 pixels. So when you change it, you can see the edges of the fields will change, right? It's getting more and more round, right? Now it's not round at all, it's just sharp edge, right? So you just drag this to whatever you like, and I suggest making sure that you choose the same border radius for all of your elements and all of your form fills. So if you choose 4 pixels for this form, choose 4 pixels for the other form, just to keep it uniform and within brand. Same thing with buttons, okay? I have the buttons, the rounding of the edges, I have those on 4 pixels throughout the website as well. Okay, just to keep things uniform. And of course, you choose your text font, and then you can style a button, right? So we can see border radius here, 4 pixels, right? I keep things uniform throughout the website. Okay, so you just play around with these settings, right? Your padding size, that's going to be the size of the spacing on the top and the bottom of the button. So when we drag this, we can see it changes, right? So you just play around with it, see what you like. Expand button to full width. So if I don't have this checked, this is how it looks. I don't want it to look like that. Okay, now sometimes forms will have it look like this, and they may have the button alignment right over to the right. I think we're used to seeing that, right? People are used to seeing that, so that doesn't look odd. just for this website, I just decided to go center and expand the button to the full width. Okay. Hover effect. So what is the button going to do when a person hovers over it with their mouse? I have none here. So let's actually give it a hover effect. So background transitions, this is mostly the thing that I choose. There's other transitions you can do. You can experiment with them if you want. It'll kind of give you a preview of it when you select it. So when I select pop, you can see the button move. That's how it's going to look when a person hovers over it. All right, you're not going to see this preview because it hasn't happened yet, but you can see this, right? Grow in shadow, float up in shadow, right? So let's do a fade in and let's do hover text. Let's leave the text black, and the hover, we're gonna just change the shading of the button to the different gold color, right? So I'm gonna see if we can preview this. I'm not gonna save the whole page because I did other changes that I don't want it changed, but we can see this is what we just did. Right, it just gives it a slight hover effect. All right. Now this is a 3-column section. We can see we have 3 columns here. All I did was just add some text, hit enter, next line, and just created this list of items here. All right, very simple to do that. Same thing over here. Right, I just put the email in. Now with this, if I highlight that, we can see that it has a link associated with it. It says mail to strike a pose 321 at iCloud. Okay, the way you do that is you hit this link icon, and this is going to ask you, you know, what is it linking to? In this case, this is an email, but you can also link to a pop-up. You can link to a file. You can link to an anchor point, another page. But for this one, I chose email. You just put the email in there, and that's it. So that when a person goes to the website and they click on this, it's a mail to link. Now, depending on how you have your mail set up on your computer, it can open up your mail application or it may do nothing. It just really depends on how you have your stuff set up. Okay. Now, if you click this, if you right click the link and just copy email address, then it'll copy the email address. Okay. This element is like a social media element. So over here on the left side, add widget. Let's see, we want to look for social media. That's here. Now, when you add this element, you have a couple of options on how you want it to display and what you want it to do. So you can choose this social media element to actually share the page, or you can choose it to actually go to pages. We selected go to the page. All right, so we have this business owner's Facebook page link on here and their Instagram account link on here. Okay, so when a person clicks that, that is where it goes. That's the Facebook page of the business owner. All right, and this is the Instagram page of the business owner. All right. If we didn't have it set up like that and we had it share this page, then it would ask you to post share this on your own social media so that other people can have links to the page. Not a whole lot of people do that, so we just have the links to the social media. Okay. All right, that's about it for this page. Let's go move on to the other pages. So here is gonna be your list of all of the pages you have inside of your account right here on the left. Let's go on over to the pricing page. Yes, we want to discard. I don't want to save any of that. All right, so our header automatically comes over to this page. So like we said, that is already done. That is a very convenient feature to have. All I did was add some spacing down here, take away those other words, and have photo booth rental pricing here. Okay. Now this pricing page, let's go on over to the pricing page. All right, so now we have that Parallax background that just stays perfectly still. Okay. We already went over how to do that. Let's talk about it again. So we go to the block element, choose our background, and we choose parallax speed fixed, right? So that it stays in place, okay? Now these menu, the pricing elements here, okay? So these are just mere columns, right? And I added these image elements, okay? And I put stretch if needed because I wanted this image to take up the entire width of this column. Okay, if I didn't do that, it would look like that. You see how there's spacing up here? We don't want that. We want it to stretch, okay? I just added my text and just copied and pasted a emoji from something like emoji copy, right? So emoji copy is what I use. I'll just locate the emoji that I want to use. Say for example is this one. It shows up here. I just copy it and I pasted it right in with my text when I type this out. All right, now for these are icon with text elements. So icon section, right? So I'm gonna add widget icon section. That is what I use to create all of these check boxes, and the same thing for the X's, right? So what I wanted to do with this section was show a person this is what you get with the package, but this is also what you do not get. Okay, so for the ones that you do get, I just had the check marks there. For the ones you don't get, I just chose an X and I crossed out the text there, so to let the person know this package does not include this. All right, so let's talk about how we did that. So we chose the icon section. We went to the settings, right? We want to choose what icon we want. There's all these icons you can choose from. There's a bunch of them, okay? All I did was type in check. Oops, check. That's the icon I'm using. There's different checks you can use. You can use this double one. You can use the check box or the check circle. I just chose check, okay? Then you can just click in here and you can just start typing. You can just start typing, all right, and change the text that's in there. But we also want to make sure that we have this set up right. So show icon description, I have this on no. If I selected this, it would add some more text underneath this. All I need is this one line, so I do not show the description, okay? So all we're doing right here is typing whatever we want into this section, and that's it. Now, since I have so many of these, I didn't create them all individually. I use the copy feature of this platform. All right, this is called the Profit Sites platform. Okay, so when we click on the item, we see we have this option to copy, right? So if I copy this, it shows up right here. So you can see this kind of bulged out when I chose copy. Let's do it again, copy, right? So now when I come up here, this is the icon section I just copied. So all I have to do is drag it over and place it, and it's gonna look exactly like the other one, okay? So I did that for all of these. All I did was change the text on them, okay? Now for this one, I just chose the X icon, right? So I just type X. Did I type X? Yeah, type X, and that's the X icon that I used, okay? Also, I changed the color, as you can see. So icon color, I chose the red, right? That makes that icon red. How did I get the text to cross out? So I just selected it, right? We can see our text options show up when we select the text, and we come on down here where it says paragraph, right? And we can see strike through. That is what I chose to get that strike through effect, strike through, okay? That'll cross out your text, okay? We already know how to add buttons. How do we make sure the buttons go to where we want it to go? Go into the button options, okay? So the button says book now, right? Type in book now, that's what shows up on the button. That's the button text. Open on click. What do you want it to do when this button is clicked? So for this one, it goes to the smiley face package, okay? So we can see this is actually another page on the website. So what happens on the actual website? All right, so it goes to a page where it's a booking form for this particular package. All right, the same thing happens with the other buttons. It'll go to a different booking form for that particular package, right? Tongue out package. We selected the tongue out package button. Flex package. If we want to book the flex package, it'll go to the flex package form. All right, so that's how we set that up. We have another section in here. This is another pricing option, drop off booth. Pretty much the same, except that it's just one column that spans the entire width of this block. Okay, and the same thing with this button. All right, if we selected that, then it would go to a different page for this particular package, drop off booth. Okay, next section. So we have, again, same sort of layout. We have the image that takes up the entire vertical size of the block, and then we have our text on the right side. Now this time I chose this so this is the same element as these icon text elements right up here in the pricing section. It's the same thing, I just have it styled differently. So this time I chose to show the icon description because I do have other additional text that I wanted to show beneath the title. Okay, so this time I chose to show the item description so that this text down here would show. Then I also have a different icon, right? So let's look at that. So I edit icon, and this, let me see, if I type in right, you kind of have to play around with this sometimes to actually find the icons you want, but the more you use it, you'll learn what you need to type in order to find this stuff. So when I typed in right, it gives me everything that has the word right in it, right? So right facing stuff pointing right, arrows pointing right. This is what I chose. This is a caret, a right facing caret. So that's what that is, okay? And I just made one, copied it, dragged it, and placed it here. All right, I didn't do it all individually. All I did was make one, I copied it, and then I just changed the text. That's it. This section is this accordion type of thing. So how do you get this, right? So when we look at the website, right, and we go to the FAQ, oh, this also reminds me, you can see I don't have a menu. I don't have a menu on this page. We'll show you how to do that. But if we go to this section, right, we have this sort of thing that goes on, right? When you click it, it opens up. How do we do that? Here's how you do it. So this section is actually kind of already pre-made in here. This is an accordion section. So this is what I chose, accordion, dragged it over, and you just select how you want it to look. So when we go to styling, there's a few styles that they have with this. Okay, I chose style 3. If you choose style 1, this is what it'll do. Style 2, right, you can see it adds these little arrow things. Style 3, it just takes away the arrow things. And then style 4 is it'll have these plus and minus icons. Okay, and I may actually just leave it with the plus and minus. That might be clearer for people to understand how to use it. So that is how that works. So when you actually want to edit the content inside of here, okay, you go to settings, and this is how each of these items will show up. Okay, so this is the question that it'll ask. And so when I hit settings in here, it'll say, you know, the tab name, whatever the tab name is, that's the question that'll show here. Then inside the tab paragraph, this is the text that'll show when a person actually opens up that item. You can't see anything here because what color is it? The text is white because the background on the website is black. So what I had to do was I had to type this out in this regular color. And then what I did was I selected all of the text and I changed the text color to white. Okay, but at first I had to type it like this so I can see what I was doing. Then I went in here, selected the text, and chose white, right? And that was it. So I did that for all of these. You can copy these as well, so you don't have to start from scratch. You make one, you copy it, you clone it, right? And then all you have to do is change the text, right? So that's how we did that section, right? Of course, you want to choose your font, right? Choose your font size. Choose the background color. That's the color of whatever it's going to be before a person opens it up. And then the heading color and the content area background. This is where I have the black. This is where I choose the black background for this context that shows here. Okay, and then you have the heading color. What color is the text going to be for the title of the item? All right, now let's talk about that page that I did not have a menu on. Okay, so one of those pages was these packages. Okay, let's discard. All right, so these packages, I took the top menu off on purpose so that it's not distracting. When a person is going to actually take a purchase action, you kind of want to strip away all the options so that they don't get distracted and click off. So that's why I have the menu not showing on here. So how do we do that? We have this option on this platform right here. It says header. When you see header, it says show. So if I click that button, now it's going to show the header. All right. Now that it's showing, it has the option of hiding it. Now it's hard to get to right now. Hold on a second. Here, right? Hide. When I click that, it's gone. That is how we choose what pages to show the header on and to not show the header on. Just the click of one single button. Okay. Now we can see on this page that we have a custom code element. What is that? So this page, when we go to whatever one of these packages, this is actually coming from a separate website app that the business owner uses to have her clients pay and book her services. Okay, so all I did was take the code that they provided me, right, and I pasted it in here. So how do we do that? We go to add widget. We're going to go all the way to the bottom, and we have this code element. So we just drag that over here, and then when we double click, it opens it up. You just copy the code. I don't know what any of this means. I ain't that smart. All right, so I don't do code. All I did was copy paste. Okay, so all I did was copy what they gave me, paste it in here, and it works out of the box. All right, so that's how we did that. All right, contact page. This is where it gets a little bit interesting because I actually had to do this code myself, but I didn't. Let me explain. All right, so this page, very simple, just had some text on here, right? Email links, phone links, contact form. We already showed you how to do a contact form from the footer, right? So we did a contact form, but we have it looking a little bit different. This time we have it looking a little bit more traditional with the button that's small and shows up on the bottom right side, okay? So we just changed some styling a little bit. So this page, right, as we went over at the beginning of the video, whatever day that you show up on this website, that's the day that's going to be bolded. Okay, how did we do that? I asked ChatGPT to do it for me. Yes, I cheated. Okay, I don't code. So what I did was I had ChatGPT write this code out for me. I will leave the ChatGPT prompt that I used to build this in the description. Okay, but here's the code it gave me. Right, this is what it gave me. And all I did was copy and paste it, and it works. Okay, so pretty cool. Added the social media buttons again, just like we have down here in the footer, except I just styled it a little bit different so that it shows up better on the white background. Okay, then I have this image here. This image is actually a link to leave the business owner a review. So if we click this, it goes on over to the Google page and it prompts you to leave a review of the business. Okay, so this is just a link that Google will give you if you have a Google business profile that you can use. And all I did was grab a link from Google. So let's just click here to leave a Google review. I think all I did was actually type in Google review badge or something like that. And I just downloaded one of the images that I saw. I think this is probably the one I used, and I just took the stars off. Okay. And yeah, that's what I used to do that. Okay, here we have a little map. So this is just kind of a map of the general service area that this business owner serves, and so this is built into the platform. So how do we add that on? It is right down here. So down here with the other section of icons down towards the bottom, you'll see it says map. So I just drag that map right on over to the page, And then when you go into the settings, right, you want to put in your location. Around what location is the map going to show? In this case, it is Glen Burnie, Maryland. The map type, so there's two types. You can have satellite or road map. The road map looks like this. The satellite is going to look like this. Okay, so the road map is the one that I mostly use because it just looks more user friendly. It's, you know, it's not exact. And then the zoom level, all right, you want to click how far you want it to zoom in or out. When you change this, it's going to zoom further away, okay, or it's going to zoom in super close, all right, where you can see streets and things. I have it kind of right around the middle, okay, because this business owner serves sort of a wide area, okay. So that is how we did that. Now we can see we also have a photo gallery section on this website. Okay, we can see we have different categories, right? When we select the category, those pictures that are in that category will show. Okay, you can see that here. So let's talk about and show you how we actually accomplish that. So with this platform, you have these pages in here, but you can also add portfolios or galleries. So if I click add new, okay, it's going to ask me, what do I want to add? Am I adding a page, a store, a blog, a pop-up page, group? You will also see portfolio in here. So it'll say portfolio or something close to it, gallery or something. We already have that used in this website. I already made one, so that's why we don't show this option here. But if I didn't have one already created, this would have shown here, right? It would have said portfolio or something. So what we do is we go into the settings and we change it to whatever we want the name of it to be. That's what the web slug on the website page is going to be. So when we go here, we can see right at the top it says gallery at the end. That's because we named it gallery and we chose gallery as the page slug. Okay. So how does this gallery thing actually work? So all we're doing here is we're adding items first, right? You add items and then you add the other elements of the item. So in our case, we're adding images. Sometimes you'll add entire galleries. Sometimes you'll add videos, okay? In our case, we're only adding images. We select the image, we add it to a category. So we can see we have these categories. If you need to add a new category, you hit this plus icon, right? So you'll type it here and add the plus icon and it'll add it as a category. Okay. You select these items here. So for these that I already have, let's show you what I have selected. So I have this image here. The category is baby shower. I have selected show images in lightbox because when a person clicks on the image, I want it to pop up in a lightbox like this, right? That's what I wanted to do. So that's why I have that selected. Okay, I unselected show title and description, show description and pop up, add dedicated page. We don't need all of that. We just need the picture to pop up. All right, so that's how we did that. Of course, add your title, right? And that's it. And I just did that for a bunch of them. Again, you take your shortcuts, you use them. Duplicate item. I used that for every single one of these, and just all I did was change the photo and the title. And the category, of course, if it was a different category. So as you add your categories, they'll show up here, right? So you click on these, you can see which pictures are in which category, right? All right, and that's pretty much how it'll show up on our actual web page. Okay. These other settings here. So this is going to show the layout of the gallery. So this is the layout that I have. You can choose how many columns you want, up to 5. You can choose masonry, which I hate because it looks so disorganized to me. So I never choose that, but to each their own. So I chose 2 columns. You can also choose list. List is just 1 column going straight down. So I chose 2 columns. You can choose with spacing or without spacing. I chose with spacing. And you can do boxed or full width. I just chose boxed. Okay. Okay, so I almost forgot. I need to show you how to do the smooth scroll. So if you don't do this, when you click on the anchor links in the menu, it wouldn't do the smooth scroll. It would just like kind of just go to the website without being smooth. It would just go to that section and just cut to it really quickly. So here's how I had it, made it do a smooth scroll. All right, so in the left menu, there's this website settings gear icon. You want to click that. You want to go into custom code. And then when I went into custom CSS, okay, you go into custom CSS, and this is the code for the smooth scroll. You can see it says scroll behavior smooth. All right, this is the code here. Okay, just this portion though, just this portion. Okay, this down here, right, is the portfolio section styling. When I say portfolio, I mean the gallery, the photo gallery. It's considered a portfolio within the website builder, and so that's why you see it says portfolio filter right here in the CSS code. What I used that CSS code for was to style how these category buttons showed up, because they originally did not look like this. I rounded the borders, the corners of the boxes. I rounded those off, right? So you can see here, border radius, right? I have that 4 pixel border radius, just like I have on all the buttons and other elements on the website. I added some, I might have changed the padding a bit, the border color. I did a few things to change the way these buttons looked on the photo gallery of the page. All right, so that's what this portion of CSS code is for, but the top portion is for the scroll behavior. All right, and what I did to get that, I believe I just Googled smooth scroll code, right? Smooth scroll CSS code. But I will drop this code also in the description. All right, so if you need a smooth scroll a CSS code, it'll be right there. And yeah, that's how I got that. All right, and that is about it. I think I covered everything, so you would pretty much know exactly how this website was built. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this platform, it's pretty simple. It's pretty easy to use. You have the drag and drop features. This is my Profit Sites platform by Upjump Media. So if you go to the link in the description, it'll bring you here, sites.upjump media. And when you go to pricing, of course, you can check out the features, right? You have your page builder features, you have your funnels, e-commerce, that's the store. I will be showing how to build a store in future videos. But if you come down here, you'll see the pricing. So according to what you need from your website, these are the options that you have to choose from. Now, the great thing about it is that because you're hosting with me, because this is my platform, when you choose one of these items here, okay, when you choose a pricing plan here, all right, I'm actually going to help you build your website or build the entire thing for you, okay, because you're hosting with me. Okay, so any questions, any things you run into, any problems, issues you have when you're building your website, I will be here to help you out, or I can build the entire thing for you. Okay, so come on over to upjumpmedia.com. I will leave a link in the description, and check out the platform, right? And let's get your site built.